الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور انفسنا وسيئات اعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له واشهد ان لا اله الا الله وحده لا شريك له واشهد ان محمدا عبده ورسوله اما بعد يقول الله تعالى يا ايها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحده وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والارحام ان الله كان عليكم رقيبا. So always as we start most of our gatherings and meetings, we start by praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We ask Him for support, for guidance, for forgiveness. We bear witness that there is no God to be worshipped except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We bear witness that this Prophet Muhammad is his messenger, his final messenger. And then we recite certain ayat that encourage people to have piety and taqwa towards Allah. One of it is the beginning ayah in Surah An-Nisa. Ya ayyuha an-nas ittaqu rabbakum. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addressing mankind. The meaning of you should have piety, fear the Lord, the one who has created you from one soul, and from it created the spouse of it, which is Adam and his wife. And out of them we have spread a lot of men and women. And fear of Allah, the one you ask one another for His sake, and the ties of the kinship, Allah is overseeing on everything. So our gathering today, we're talking about the importance of marriage and certain rules and regulations in Islam when it comes to marriage. So it is the human nature that Allah, when He created us, He made us reproduce through the marriage. But it's beyond that. وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُم مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُم مَّوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِقَوْمٍ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. That Allah, one of His signs that He created from us, our spouses are like us. And He created mawadda and rahmah, likeness, we like one another, and we show mercy towards one another. And these signs that Allah is showing us that we can comprehend. So the basic rule between what kind of relation between man and woman is these two words, mawadda and rahmah. They like one another and they show mercy to one another. It's not necessarily what you see or read in romantic novels, or severe passion, you cannot live without her, she cannot live without him, she would rather die, and so on. These extremes of passion are not encouraged, because it leads people to do irrational things, including killing themselves or doing something that is bad. A woman might leave her family, go with an inappropriate person, they might have an inappropriate relation outside marriage, and so on. So these passions are not healthy. People can like one another, and the best thing when a man and a woman like one another get married. So that would be the best thing. So is marriage, we know that first it is the general rule between mankind, but at the same time it is highly encouraged, and for most cases it is a wajib for a man to get married. Say in most cases, because there are some exceptions where a man doesn't feel a need to marry, has no desire for women, and he's so busy doing a lot of good things that he doesn't feel that he needs to get married. But he's missing a lot by doing so. There is reward for getting married, even if somebody doesn't feel the need for it. We know some of the Salihin, like Abu Hanifa, he probably married after he reached age 80, just because he didn't want to die as a single person. There's extra reward for it. But there are ulama, like Imam al-Nawawi, Imam ibn Taymiyyah, who died single. They didn't feel the need. They needed women. They were so busy with the ilm, acquiring ilm, spreading it, and so on. They didn't feel the need for it, and they felt they're going to be unfair to their wives, because they're spending all the time between ibadah, worshipping Allah, fasting and praying, and between ilm, reading reading Quran, spreading the knowledge, and so on. It's not going to be fair for the woman. So they decided not to marry. But the general rule for 99% of us, marriage is a wajib. تزوجوا يا معشر الشباب. Rasulullah addressed the young ones, the young males. He said, seek marriage. من استطاع منكم الباءة فليتزوج. Whoever can afford marriage, he should get married. Ba'a is physical and financial. So those who are physically able to get married and those who financially can get married, they should get married. فمن لم يجد فعليه الصيام فإنه له وجاء. And those who cannot get married, then they should do more of the fasting. So they feel there's a lot of temptations around them. You see a lot of women around them, and shaitan might kind of tempt them. Then they should go more towards fasting a lot. It is wija in Arabic, the closest translation is castration. That means it will decrease the hormones, the testosterone and the hormones that brings the desire of people. So when somebody is fasting, the levels of testosterone drop, and they will be less likely to be tempted and go after women. So it is a human nature to get married. It is highly encouraged to get married. And Rasulullah ﷺ addressed one of the companions who got married that Allah has helped you with half of your religion. Now you should fear Allah in the second half. So it helps one to complete his purpose in life. You get rewarded for marriage. It is a need, it is a desire. It is good for the person, for the community, for humanity in general, but you get rewarded for it. إن في بضع أحدكم صدقة. قالوا يا رسول الله أيأتي أحدنا شهوته ويكون له أجر؟ قال رأيت إن وضعها في حرام أيكون عليه وزر؟ قالوا نعم. قال فإن وضعها في حلال كان له أجر كما قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. He said, when one of you sleep with his wife, he'll get rewarded for it. He said, we follow one desire and we get rewarded for it. He said, did you see if he seeked it in a haram way, not his wife? Wouldn't he be punished for it? Wouldn't it be a sin for him? He said, yes. He said, well, if you do it in the right way, you'll be rewarded for it. So, you do the right thing, it's good for you, you get rewarded for it. There is difficulties. Anytime two human beings have a relation, there's difficulties, and that's where the Islamic rules come. Even a relation between a parent and a children, between siblings, between friends, between co-workers, neighbors, communities, rivals, enemies, and so on. There's always some tension that can happen, even in the most positive relation. And Islam regulated that relation so one would have taqwa towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you find in most of the ayat in Quran that relates to the marriage and relation between man and wife starts or finishes with wattaqullah. Because fearing Allah is the basic of that relation. So knowing that it is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted us to do, to get married. وَأَنكِحُوا الْأَيَامَ مِنْكُمْ وَالصَّالِحِينَ مِنْ عِبَادِكُمْ وَإِمَائِكُمْ إِنْ يَكُونُوا فُقَرَاءَ يُغْنِيهُمُ اللَّهُ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ وَاللَّهُ وَاسِعٌ عَلِيمٌ. It's an order from Allah in Surah An-Nur that you should get marriage for those who want to get married, those who don't have spouses. Even if they're poor, they're slaves, you should help them to get married. If they're poor, Allah will provide for them. Allah, His resources are vast, His knowledgeable, He provides. وليستعفف الذين لا يجدون نكاحا حتى يغنيهم الله من فضله. And those who cannot get married, they should have عفة. عفة is to have purity and to stay away from temptations. Until Allah will provide for them, will make it easy for them to get married. So that's the rule. A single person should seek to get married. The woman and her family should make it easy for a person if find the correct spouse, to get married regardless of the financial situation, with reason. He should be able to provide for his wife. Somebody who cannot provide for himself, he himself is homeless, barely can find anything to eat. He's not going to be seeking to, now he's going to be responsible for another person. So one should be taken into consideration of everything else. إذا جاءكم من ترضون دينه وخلقه فزوجوه إلا تفعلوا تكن فتنة في الأرض وفساد كبير. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has addressed people that when somebody come proposing to one of your daughters and you accept his religion and his character, you should give him in marriage, should accept his proposal. If you don't do it, a lot of corruption, a lot of evil will happen on this earth. And this is what we see in a lot of communities where marriage is not facilitated, but illegal cohabitation is normal. You see people in colleges and so on, they have roommates, they have girlfriend, boyfriend, they stay together months, years, they break up, move on, and so on, without getting married. And all of a sudden, when pregnancy happens, and now they're in dilemma, what they're going to do. Are they going to kill that baby, become abortion, or they're going to have a child without a father, a single mom will raise them and end up being not properly raised, end up being a burden on the society and doing a lot of bad stuff. That's why you find that a lot of communities, Muslim communities, even the poor, you don't see as much as corruption. In other countries that even more well-to-do, they have more resources, but this social network connection has been broken. The marriage has been broken. You find a lot of them in gangs and difficult life. Well, while you go to a poor Muslim country, you might be walking in a poor neighborhood, and you don't feel endangered. Yes, they don't have resources. It's different from going to a non-Muslim country, poor neighborhood. All of a sudden you start looking over your shoulders, make sure nobody follow you, nobody going to rob you, kill you, or do bad things to you. So it is important to keep these ties together within the regulations of Islam. I don't want to keep it just preaching, so if anybody has any question in between, feel free to interrupt and ask, make it more interactive. So we talk about it is basically it is highly encouraged that one do it, and for majority of us it is a wajib to get married. So comes next, who you're gonna get married to. So you yourself should be a person with character, with faith, and you seek somebody of that caliber. A person who's drinking, doing drugs, having illegal relations with other women and so on. All of a sudden he wants somebody sawama, qawwama, hafidh al-Quran. This is not fair. Yes, ma'am.
You said it's highly recommended, and then you followed that up with wajib. Can you explain what?
Yeah, so that's what he's saying. Wajib means the must. You get rewarded if you do it, you will be sinful if you don't. So if somebody in a situation, he can get married, marriage is available. He decides not to, and all of a sudden he started looking at girls right and left. He's trying to seek relations, have a girlfriend, and so on. He's sinning because the halal way was there for him, and he chose not to. And living in a community where there's a lot of temptation, that's also make it as a wajib. It helps you focus on your religion without these distractions, and make you less of a target. If you are in college, you start work, whatever it is, a lot of women ask, is he single? Is he taken? Once they know that he's married, so will become less desirable, so they're less likely to tempt that person. If you're single, they're gonna either for themselves or try to find you, fix you with somebody they know. I remember when I first came to this country doing my residency, a lot of the nurses, the doctors I'm working with, ask, is he single? Is not some of them married, they're trying to fix me with their sister, or I said, no, don't worry about it. I'm only gonna get married to a Muslim girl, but from my culture, my religion, don't bother with it, just leave me alone. So it makes you more of a target on one side. At the same time, once you're married, you have a goal, or you're engaged, preparing to get married, you're not gonna be distracted with So we talk about that one should prepare himself by being of good character. الخبيثات للخبيثين والخبيثون للخبيثات والطيبات للطيبين والطيبون للطيبات. Allah has made a general rule that good people, good men, good women are for good men, good men are for good women, and spoiled, evil, corrupt women are for likewise men, and the other way around. So you have to be good, so Allah will provide you for good. And Allah is fair. You'll find it once you yourself trying to have this chastity, the affah, and to be pure, and do your due diligence towards your worship between you and Allah and other humans, that will provide you with a woman of such character. So you start with yourself. Then the next thing, who are you going to be married? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he told us, تنكح المرأة لثلاث لأربع لدينها وحسبها لحسبها ومالها وجمالها ودينها فاظفر بذات الدين تربت يداك. Usually people seek marriage from another woman for one of four characters. Either she's a woman of status, a woman of money, a woman of beauty, or a woman of religion. You follow the woman of religion, you win. Otherwise, you'll be a loser stuck to the ground. تربت يداك. تربت يداك, your hands are stuck to dirt and the ground. You'll be a loser. There's nothing wrong that a woman can have all these characters. She's a woman of religion. At the same time, she comes from a good, well-to-do family. She's good-looking. She has a position, and so on. But the main purpose is that her religion. That should be the reason that a person should marry that woman. So that means a lot of relations you see people in this dunya, they're trying to get social status. So if they marry up, somebody can help them with their life, whether they have connections, they start to do better in their work, in their life, and so on. So that's very tempting for people. Money also will provide for that. Some people just for the looks, for the beauty. But if a woman is beautiful and her character is bad, it will make you hate that beauty. If you're dealing with co-workers, students, whoever your social network around you, the physical attractiveness might be the first thing you look at initially, whether it's a male or a female, or this is tall, he's muscular, he's healthy, he's not, and the same thing for a girl and so on. But at the end, how they deal with you, how they treat you, for you will consider them to be close to you or not. So somebody who was athletic, looks good, dressed good, smells good, but he's a jerk and he's bad to everybody, you'll hate him. And the same thing for a woman. So for a man, when he gets married to the woman, after a while, the appearance of her, he will get used to it. But he cannot get used to if she's not respectful, if she doesn't treat him with kindness, she neglects him, or she treats him badly, or his family. That's something that will affect him, and he will forget about the appearance. Saying that, it is not that means you should ignore it. There's one of the Sahaba, he was proposing to marry, was from the Muhajirin coming from Quraysh. He wanted to marry a woman of Al-Ansar from Medina. So Rasulullah said, he asked him, did you see her? That means you look at her without the veil. He probably saw her veiled or something like this. His mother or sister told him she's a good woman. He said, go and see her. That means you need to see her face unveiled. إِنَّ فِي أَعْيُنِ الْأَنصَارِ شَيْئًا. The eyes of the Ansar, they look a little bit different than what you used to in Mecca. So just make sure that you're comfortable with it. They have different looks. People of Quraysh were the most beautiful among Arabia. Rasulullah himself is described about his character, his appearance, and so on. His wife Aisha described him about her beauty, and so on. His daughter Fatima Zahra, and so on. So a lot of people of Quraysh were very good looking. So when you go to people of Medina, they're not as well-to-do, they're not that good-looking. So I told him, just look at it. If you're comfortable, that's fine. And a lot of Ansar, Muhajirin, they married. But it is one of the things, yeah, you need to look at her, make sure that she fulfills you right. And the same thing for the women. Ibn Abbas, he used to dress well and put a lot of perfume, smell well. And people ask him, why would you do that? He said, we like that from a woman. A woman like the same thing from us. So once when he goes home, he finds his wife is prepared and well dressed, smells good. He likes that. Well, the same thing she likes. So one would expect his wife to look the best, and he's in tank tops and shorts and flip-flops and taking a shower for a couple of days and so on. So why don't you look good? So it has to be fair for both sides, a two-way street. So you start with the religion first. Yes, brother.
To what degree are you allowed to look at a woman before getting married? Yes. Just the face or?
لينظر الرجل إلى المرأة ما يدعوه إلى نكاحها. That a woman should look from a woman what things are enough for him to seek marriage for her. That means he's going to be looking at her general appearance. She's tall, she's short, she's thin, or she's fat. So that's general. She doesn't have to show him. She comes out in tights and shorts and stuff like this. General appearance. And then he needs to see her face. So this is must. Some ulama say, well, if it's important for him, the hair, he can look at the hair. I don't think that's important. In a sense, I mean, if your sister or your mother saw her and told her, oh, she has a dark, long hair, that's enough for why you need to see it. Or she has a curly brown hair, or whatever it is. That should be good enough for you. It should be only when they're going to go beyond the hijab, which some ulama has accepted, it should be very serious. That means everything is fine. He just want to make sure that's one thing for him. You want to see her without the hijab in her head. That's the only thing. I don't find it that very reasonable. I myself, when I got engaged, when my daughters got engaged, just going out in good loose Islamic dress is enough to know from the woman. Why would you need her to be uncovered? I don't see that will add more information. If you sat with the girl, she doesn't have to wear the abaya, the black full covering jilbab, but she needs to wear covering clothing, covering her arms and her legs, and not very tight, not revealing. No extra makeup that will make her look like a doll, make her very attractive, but that's not her reality. You see sometimes on YouTube and TikTok, they show you somebody that looks like perfect. She washes her face and she's totally different person. Well, that's the kind he's going to wake up every day, her face is washed out. So you need to be accepting it, not when she has the makeup on. So there should be no deception in this case. And the same thing for the man. The woman needs to know. Some of us are bold. The woman might be fine with that, or she might not be fine with that. Having the beard, how long it is, and so on. So the same thing.
Sheikh, similar to that question, so how much interaction can you have with the woman before marriage? Like try to get to know her for the character and all that.
So the interaction between men and women in general, whether there's an intention for marriage or not, is guided through the rules of Islam. A man and woman should never be alone. If they're not married, they're not first deemed relatives mahram, should never be alone. There should be always either a mahram with them or in the presence of a large group of people when there is not considered khulwa, being alone. ما خلا رجل بامرأة إلا كان الشيطان ثالثهما. When a man and woman is alone, the third person is then shaitan. So never lock a door on you with a woman. That's not your wife, first degree relative. That's the rule. Now it happened, let's say she's studying with you, she's working with you, you're interacting in the general atmosphere with, and you're talking about things that relate to your work, things that relate to your study, and so on. When is the lecture, when is going to work, so on, and so on. You notice how she's interacting with other people. She's a kind person. she's not a mean person, she's not short-tempered, and so on, and you like that from her. You can either show your intention to her, or better, if you know her male relatives, brother or father, you would go to him and say, I'm proposing, I'm asking you the hand of your daughter for marriage, and so on. But you try to keep it before there's formal proposal and approval, to keep it to limits. So no romance thing, I'm dying, you're the most beautiful thing, and you took my heart, skip the beat, we can't see all this nonsense. No need for that. I know some of my friends, close friends, good pious people who got emotionally attached. The girl was fine for them, and they got married out of love, and everything was okay. After a few years of marriage, that love is gone. So what kept the relation going is the basics. They have the same principles of faith, they have the same principles of social norms, what they're going to accept, and so on. So when hard times came, they flow back to that basic deen and khuluq. But that passion doesn't stay. It's an emotion, it goes up and down, up and down. And normally when you start a good base, passion will develop. A man will start loving and caring for his wife more and more. And the same thing for the woman. She starts loving and caring for her husband more and more. So this is the essence of it. So when you're looking for the woman, as I said, for her religion and character, and the same thing should be for the woman and her family, is looking for a man of religion and character. Now socially, they should be close enough. You cannot bring a woman that's lived in a palace with a lot of servants around her. She had silk and gold and jewelry and has everything provided, and you have a small studio that you live month by month. You might live on cheese and macaroni most of the month and stuff like this, and expect her she's going to be happy with that. Tensions will develop. So this is what they call kafara. They should be close in social status. Doesn't have to be 100% equal, but close enough to provide for the woman a similar situation where she came from, within reasons. I mean, sometimes if people are living a very lavish life, well, sometimes that exceeds the limits of what Islamically is appropriate. But if they're within the Islamic appropriates, but they're well-to-do, you need to provide her something similar, or she understand that and accept it. A lot of times, people will accept that a student is not going to be providing for his wife as a lifetime, but later on expect that when he finishes studying, he has a job, that he's going to be able to provide more and more. Because Allah is the one who's Razzaq. The rizq, this providing sustenance, comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But there should be some sort of a plan, some sort of expectations that are met that will keep problems away. Somebody tell me that the formula of happiness is expectations and reality. When reality equals expectation, or better than expectation, people are happy. When reality is less than your expectations, people are not happy. So the way you do it, you improve your reality or decrease your expectations. That's the way it is. So you need to know what to expect in life. You start with a good position. You're good. You're looking for a good woman that shares these values with us. Parents should be reasonable, not to have overburden the future husband with unreasonable financial dues. So they shouldn't ask for a lot. So that comes to the next one, the mahar. Yes.
So you said that there should be, in terms of social status,
Kafa'ah, close. They're not 100% equal, but close enough.
What about when it comes to deen and character?
Yes.
Especially in nowadays.
Yeah, it's a must. So you yourself, expecting a woman that's properly dressed in hijab, praying 5 times a day, fasting, doesn't have private relations with anybody who's a good friend, male, and so on, going along sharing things online and so on. You need to find a woman like this. You don't want to be surprised afterwards, after marriage, 6 months, a year, and so on, that she has some male friends. She's talking about her marriage problems to them, and she goes out to have a cup of coffee with them to discuss her problem and so on. I mean, you should be jealous. You should be accepting that. So it should be clear from the beginning. Some people are okay with that. It's wrong. This is how they're raised. And the same thing intermingling between men and women. I said it should be kept to a minimum when there is need. There's certain societies, even good Muslim societies, the tribal relation is so strong, they consider the cousins like brothers. So there's no problem for a woman that her cousin might come one time, he's not here, she will provide him with a meal, he sits, drink, eat a meal, drink tea, and say salam to your husband and leave. It's wrong. She shouldn't be alone with her. But in certain society, this is normal for them. I know one of my close friends, he's from Palestine, so his second wife was from Sudan. And the Sudanese had this culture of the tribe, and the first degree relatives are considered like brothers. So sometimes a cousin might knock on the door, and if he's not there, he's still expecting to be provided a meal. He told her and told her, this is not good, I will not accept it. Other cultures, my maternal side of the family comes from Circassians, very close to Chechen. And for them, they consider the cousin brothers and sisters. For them, there's no way a cousin can marry his cousin. This is out of question for them. In Arab countries, most Muslim countries, cousins are considered the first choice for marriage. You're expected first to look at your cousins when you're looking for marriage. If you don't find a suitable one, then you go outside that. In Western culture, also taboo. The married cousins, they're going to have deformed kids, and all of them, they say they're inbred, and they're going to have problems and so on. To a degree. So if a family insists they always marry within the family, yes, they're going to have problems. We have a family in Halab, the city I'm from, they called Sattat, the people with 6 fingers, because they always married within the family. It's a recessive gene that may give people a 6th finger. So when they kept marrying within the family, all the children have that 6th finger. Once they start marrying outside the family, that was gone. There's a drawback, but occasionally when it's done, there's nothing wrong with it. Rasulullah ﷺ, he gave his daughter Fatima to his cousin. So Ali and Fatima are not first degree cousin, they're more like a 2nd degree cousin, where her father was the cousin of Ali. So it can be done, even in Quran. يا أيها النبي إن أحللنا لك أزواجك اللاتي آتيت أجورهن وما ملكت يمينك مما أفاء الله عليك وبنات عمك وبنات عماتك وبنات خالك وبنات خالاتك اللاتي هاجرن معك. When it is giving him who he can marry, part of it were his cousins, the ones who are Muslims and they made hijrah to Medina. Then he's allowed to marry them. So it is permissible, but not to make it exclusion. Exclusion would definitely lead to problems. Some families, either of wealth or landowners, they always wanted to keep the wealth and the land within the family, so they only marry within the family. So the wealth will not go to an outsider. So should not be. So they're thinking about worldly equations. And I said it should be religion and character first before anything else. Trying to remember, I think it was Sa'id ibn Musayyib. He was one of the tabi'een that was well known for his knowledge and taqwa and zuhud. Abdul Malik bin Marwan, when he became the Khalifa, the Umayyad Khalifa, he started as one of the 7 fuqaha of Medina. So he started as a faqih. But later on, when chaos happened after the death of one of the khulafa, So they appointed him as a Khalifa to get things back in order. Now, once he becomes a Khalifa ruler, all of a sudden the rules are different. Because now you will take extreme measures, anybody oppose you, chop, and prison, a lot of bad things would happen. But he still loved the religion. So he wanted the daughter of Sa'id ibn Musayyib to be the wife of his son. Because no, they are good people. So he sent somebody, Sa'id ibn Musayyib, he said, I want your daughter for my son. He said, give me a minute, some time to be ready for that. Meanwhile, he went to one of his students, poor students. He asked him, he always attends his halaqah, his Hafiz al-Quran, faqih, and so on. He said, are you married? He said, no. He said, do you want a wife? He said, yes. He said, if I offer you my daughter, would you accept? He said, yes. Two witnesses were there. He said, okay, I give you my wife, my daughter as a wife. At night, door knocks, open the door, here's your wife. What's done? I'm going to ask later on, what happened on proposal? Oh, you're too late, she's already married. So, seeking ilm, because he knew that once his daughter goes and lives in the palace of Abdul Malik bin Marwan, she's not going to be the same woman. There will be wealth, there will be servants, there will be conspiracies, there will be, she's going to get corrupted with this dunya. So they don't want that. Even the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he first got married and moved to Medina, his life was very simple. Most people were poor and so on. But when they start having winnings and conquering, getting the spoils of war, a lot of wealth was flowing to Medina. He kept that basic living. And some of his wives started getting jealous from other people. You see, some people of Muhajirin and Ansar, wealth started flowing to them. Their houses are getting bigger, their clothes are getting fancier, they're getting jewelry, and they're eating better, and so on. So they wanted that. And that's when Allah has revealed, يا أيها النبي قل لأزواجك إن كنتن تردن الحياة الدنيا وزينتها فتعالين أمتعكن وأسرحكن سراحا جميلا. O Prophet, meaning the ayah, tell your spouses, if you want this life and the beauty comes with it, I can let you go and give you all what you need. وإن كنتن تردن الله ورسوله والدار الآخرة فإن الله أعد للمحسنات منكن أجرا عظيما. But if you want Allah, His Messenger, and the hereafter, then Allah has prepared for those who excel among you great reward. And they all chose to stay with Rasulullah in that basic living. Not only that, after his death, wealth was still flowing to them, because the way Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, and all the Khulafa after them, Muawiyah, Ali ibn Marwan, and all of them, whenever there is money flowing into the treasury, they first start with the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So they give them the biggest share of money. Then they go to Muhajirin, then Ansar, according to their Islam, who was a Muslim first, then other, until they spread the wealth among all the Muslims. So the family of Rasulullah had a lot of wealth flowing to them, but they kept that basic living. We know stories of Aisha, she would be fasting, and 90,000 or 100,000 dirham. These are silver coins. Imagine somebody give you 100,000 silver coin. That's big wealth nowadays, was big wealth there. And she will tell her servant, okay, give this to this family, give this to these needy, to the orphans, to the widows, and so on, to spread it all. And then, end of the day, time for iftar, she asks her servant, what do we have to break our fast? I say, we have nothing. See, you should have your money and keep one or two of these silver coins and buy something to eat. They kept that basic, simple living. Nowadays, to be realistic, you're not going to be able to do that. Nowadays, being a zahid, this is my personal opinion, is to live what basic needs are. So nowadays, you're living in an apartment that has an AC, has a fridge, has a stove, you have electricity, heat, and cold. This is considered basic needs nowadays. Before that, kings did not have that. But this is the reality we live in. You cannot live without a car. You need to go to study or to work or so on. life has expanded so much, it became a basic necessity. So you need to provide for this basic necessity, and the woman should be accepting that these basic necessities are enough, but she should be expecting top model cars, a new car every couple of years, and so on. So there should be realistic expectations from both parties, and these things need to be discussed ahead of time, especially as I said, when people come from different cultural background or different society background. Yes.
Let's say that a woman earns more than a man, and let's say the man told her that it's within my ability that we will get in this particular place for $1,000 per month. But then she told him, no, how about we upgrade to a more expensive place for like $3,000 and I'll cover the extra $2,000. Is that allowed?
Yes, but it has to be clear. That's not her responsibility. They agreed to it ahead of time, and she should never boost on him or remind him, oh, I'm the one who's spending it now. Because that's how she agreed on. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he married Khadija. Khadija was of wealth. He wasn't. And he initially worked in her trade. He used to take her trade to nowadays Syria and Palestine, would trade with the Romans and buy stuff and bring it. And then when she heard from her servants how honest, how kind, was a good person, she sent somebody to him that she wants him as a husband. And he got married to her, and she was the best wife he ever had. She's 15 years older than him. She's the only one he got children from, and he loved her even after her death. So it can be done. It's the responsibility of the man. الرجال قوامون على النساء بما فضل الله بعضهم على بعض وبما أنفقوا من أموالهم. That the woman has this guardianship over women because what Allah has favored one over another, physical, social, and so on, and what money they're spending. The man is responsible to spend on the house and the wife and the kids. The woman is not. So if there is an expectation for that, this agreement has to be done beforehand, or if she volunteers later on without her hurting him, reminding him, oh, she's the better earner and she spends better from him. So it has to be clear, it should be good faith. In general, most of the time it's the other way around, that the man is in a better social status, but occasionally it happens, and if both of them should be in good moral character to prevent this from being a problem, because it can be a problem. Yes.
So, when you're seeking a partner, right, you're looking for character and faith. What if the faith is that of Ahl Kitab, right? What's the ruling on?
So, in general, Muslims are allowed to marry a woman of the book, Christian and Jew. But I would say it's not recommended.
Yes. So go into detail because
there are rules for it. وَالْمُحْصَنَاتُ مِنْ أَهْلِ الْكِتَابِ. So it has to be muhsana. Muhsana, that means she has not had an adulterous relation or a relation outside marriage. So if she's not a virgin, then you're not allowed to marry her. So if she fooled around, she has a body count, then that's not, it's haram. It's not permissible for you to marry her. So that's the first thing. The second thing, the rules of Islam apply to her except in her personal faith. That means she needs to wear the hijab. She cannot be alone with another man. So all the rules apply, except she's allowed to go to church. If she goes to her family, they're serving wine, eating pork, that's her issue. She doesn't bring it home. She said, I'm people of the book. I'm going to be celebrating Christmas. I'm bringing pork. I'm bringing wine. This is not permissible for her. She can practice in her privacy with her family, but not to bring it home, which is impossible to do that. And the third condition, the children are Muslim, whether they're living together or when divorce happens. And most Western countries, when divorce happens, the children will follow the mother. So I would say in this country, no man should marry a non-Muslim woman. And we've seen it multiple times where people have done so, when divorce happened, children went to the mother and became a Muslim. These three rules, it's hard for it to apply. So you find when a woman really is a good character, she becomes a Muslim. Even when she becomes a Muslim, you need to be careful, make sure that she is established in Islam. Because sometimes she's married because of that person. She liked him, she liked his faith, she became Muslim. Problems start, divorce her, she reversed from Islam and go back to her religion. Because there's a lot of social pressure from her mother, her sisters, and friends, and so on. They want to go back to them, go back to parties, want to drink, and do all the things that they were doing before. So that pressure exists. So once what bringing her to religion was the husband, that relationship breaks, everything else breaks. So she should be a Muslim out of faith, that's her. She will do it with or without that man. So you should be careful. Because I know a lot of people who thought they met a girl, she looks like she's a nice woman. He explained to her he's a Muslim and he wants her to be a Muslim. He said, okay, what about Islam? Yeah, that makes sense. I wanted to wear hijab. She went first, find it hard, but then later on said, okay, I'll do it. But then after 2, 3, 5, 10 years, problems start happening. She asked for divorce, she divorced, take off the hijab, go back to her family, celebrate Christmas, drinking, eating, and hoping. That's why I said this country, I wouldn't say this country, in any non-Muslim society, one should not marry a non-Muslim. Even finding a good Muslim in a Muslim society isn't easy nowadays. So let alone from outside the faith. But we're not saying it is haram because this is in the Quran. وَالْمُحْصَنَاتُ مِنْ أَهْلِ الْكِتَابِ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ إِذَا آتَيْتُمُوهُنَّ أُجُورَهُنَّ مُحْصِنِينَ غَيْرَ مُسَافِحِينَ. So it should be a marriage relation from the beginning. Not to have a relation and now she's pregnant and now he wants to get married from her and all that stuff, want to fix the problem. This is haram. And the whole thing is forbidden. So, when it comes to finding the right woman, I said it should come from the door. So, you find a woman you like, you go talk to her family, propose. The engagement period is more like a habit. In Islam, it's like you go, I want to marry your daughter, I agree to it. What kind of mahar are you going to give her? What gift you want it? 2 witnesses agree to it, marriage is done. Reality nowadays, this is not how it's done. Reality nowadays, you're going to go and propose. So even before you propose, you usually have somebody who's like saying things on your behalf, testing the water. So your mother will call her mother and say, my son is studying this and this. Your daughter, I'm thinking to propose. Okay, describe your son. He's 6'5", he's athletic, or so on. He's 4 or 5, he's more wide and tall. So they describe whatever he is and so on. And you think you'll be interested in that. You say yes, and then they start talking about, okay, what about his religion? Does he pray family? Does he have experience? Was he married before? Does he have any financial problems, legal problems, visa problems? Whatever it is for both parties, talk about it. So once they find out that there's a lot of common ground, then usually they come and then propose the man. If his family is with him, they go and propose to her father or brother, uncle, whoever male degree relative that she has, and propose. There will be initial basic agreement, then they will start talking to one another more in a personal level with the presence of the family. So they start talking about what kind of life we're going to expect, what kind of living condition, who are the community I'm going to be living with, are the people from my background, people I will enjoy going to, and so on. What's your hobbies, what is that? They talk for a while, it could be a week, could be a month, could be a year, depending on the time. And then the next step will be to have an official marriage contract. That's عقد النكاح, or some say كتب الكتاب. Every culture have a different name for it. It's basically, they will sit in front of a sheikh or an imam, and they have it on written paper that this man, this woman getting married with the approval of her guardian, father, brother, with the 2 witnesses, they sign on it. They have the mahar the dowry, the gift that he's giving gets mentioned, they write it down. Now, when this level is happening, now they are more free to be together alone. For her not to be wearing the hijab in front of him, but to a degree. They're not officially married. That means she's not going to go out with him to the swimming pool. They're not going to be sleeping together. So there's still limits. The limits here is related to urf. Urf is they're not considered married until the night of wedding. So yes, they are in between now. They're more than engaged. There is a marriage contract, but they should not take another step where they sleep together until the night of marriage, because this is the urf. Otherwise, people see them alone together, then they'll start talking about it. So the urf in this case is highly respected, that after they sign the contract of marriage, now they can talk together, they can go to coffee shops together, they can look for an apartment together, try to furnish it, think about the wedding, how it's going to be, what kind of dresses, and so on. They can talk more freely, but I say to a certain limit.
Are you describing this more from the cultural perspective?
Yeah, so this is the urf part. I said, initially, the way the Sahaba did it, once they sit together and say, I give you my daughter, he accepts it, presence of two witnesses, no sheikh, nothing written. This is marriage. Anytime, same night and a week, she goes, lives with him, night of wedding, feast. This is so the minimum for the marriage. Both parties agree a woman should not be given to marriage against her will. Her guardian, father, brother, uncle, who was the first main guardian, should be approved. 2 witnesses, and should be declared in public. Al-Ishhar. So it cannot be in secret. So somebody go to the courthouse, write it down, and they start living together. A civilian contract is not an Islamic contract. So they can't have it the Islamic tradition way, presence of the father, 2 witnesses, and then they write it in the courthouse, so it will be for legal purposes, documented paperwork and so on. That's fine. But the Islamic part has to be there. Because civilian, both of them walk to the courthouse and they get the contract, they get the marriage certificate. They're done. But this is not Islamic contract. Islamic contract, I said, has to be done properly. So, what happens? So who is the guardian? Who's wali of this woman? The first one will be the father. If he's not available, then will be a grown-up male brother. Then it goes to the uncles, father's side, mother's side. And then goes beyond and beyond the closest of the family. A wali has to be the one giving her in marriage. Now, what if he's not available physically?
Does the wali need to be Muslim?
Yes. Wali has to be Muslim. A non-Muslim has no wilaya on a Muslim. So, she accepted Islam, her father non-Muslim. Her father cannot be the wali. Out of courtesy and due diligence, ask him, I'm going to be married, whatever. This is more like customs. In the contract, it has to be a Muslim. So none of her male relatives, none of them are Muslims, then al-hakim or al-qadi. So the judge will becomes her wali. In a non-Muslim country where there's no Muslim judge, the ulama has given fatwa, the imam of the closest Islamic center will be considered the judge in this case, and he will be acting as her wali. That is to look after her best interest, make sure everything is conducted Islamically. But that should not be done if her father is alive. You see, sometimes a girl will get married to a guy with her parents living overseas without informing them or seeking their permission. Or she knows they are alive and they will not agree. So, this is not permissible. When is it permissible to go against the will of the wali? When he's refusing for other than Islamic reason. So, if a good Muslim proposes for this girl, and the father said, no, I want somebody wealthy that will provide her with millions. He's going to provide her only with an apartment, month-to-month payment. She's okay with it, I'm not okay with it. I want wealth, I want him to provide her with 100,000 of whatever it is. I'll take half of it, she takes half of it, I'll take it all, whatever. Then in this case, he goes to the judge. The judge will take the wilayah from him, either assign a different male relative as a wali, or the judge becomes her wali. So there should be a good reason why her male relatives not become a wali. I've seen a lot of cases here, a woman become a Muslim, and then the guy chooses one friend, now you become her wali, and sit in front of a couple of people, okay, now you're my wife, move on to an apartment, and they're done. This is not proper Islamic marriage. Unfortunately, I know a lot of people have done that. Yeah, this is not the way. So in this case, what did they do? She will go to the imam. If she has no Muslim relative, go to the imam. The imam will make sure she's agreeable, he's agreeable, bring 2 witnesses. They have the contract written, and they put it and record it in the civilian court to keep the record straight. It's not a requirement Islamically, but we've seen a lot of cases when divorce happened, then the woman has no proof that they got married. The children, they considered bastard children with no legitimate father, and all kind of problems. So that's why writing in a court became a necessity nowadays, although initially it wasn't.
What about nikahs over like conference calls and
Conference
remote?
calls. Yeah, so at the time of being engaged.
Yeah, like so the Maulvi, like the sheikh is sitting with the groom, and then the wife or the bride is somewhere else, and they're doing it over the
Okay,
Zoom.
so you're doing now the contract of the nikah with one of the parties not physically present. So
Yeah.
let's say they're both here and her father overseas, and the sheikh either with him or with you. As long as it can be verified that all the rules are applied, it is acceptable. Or he can have wakala. So he will assign someone else. He say, I, the wali of this girl, give permission for this person to act as her wali, or for a specific person to marry him to that person, or sometimes even general. I trust him, he's going to find her an acceptable husband, and I accept his choice. So it could be either general acceptance or specific. Nowadays, it's mostly specific. So the father is saying, okay, or a lot of times they say now with conference calls, when people are sure that they're talking to the father, and he said, yes, I'm her father, and everybody's saying, yes, we know him, we know his voice, or we know his picture, or video conferencing, he's given permission, then it's permitted. The ulama, a lot of them has accepted this form as being a way of accepting the contract.
And then following on that,
Mhm.
so that's also like permissible for like so the groom and the sheikh are on one side, and the bride is on the other side of the conference call.
Yeah, the same thing. The rules apply the same thing. As long as it can be verified, the sheikh is comfortable, the shuhud, the witnesses are comfortable. Yes, these parties are the ones who say they are. Then it's accepted in this case. As long as there's no ill intentions, there's no reason why they're not trying to do it in person. Sometimes life is difficult. It's hard to bring everybody in the same place at the same time. So doing things remotely is acceptable.
So I've got kind of a practical question regarding the mahar. So let's say the lady determines $5,000, just theoretically. Could the male negotiate, I will pay that, but like broken up, or does it have to be like one lump sum?
They can negotiate, yes. So mahar is a debt for the woman. So once a man says, yes, I'm gonna provide this mahar to my wife, he's responsible for providing it, but he can negotiate with her. We accept the 5,000, I have 1,000 now, I'll pay 4,000 later. Or I'm gonna pay it all now. Some people, they have the tradition where they make the early part small, the later part huge, ridiculously huge. So take 1,000 and 1,000,000. The reason for that is that they don't want him to divorce her. Once he divorces her, he's going to be in debt for 1,000,000. So this is wrong. This is not the intention of the mahar. آتوهن صدقاتهن نحلة. It's a gift. You're supposed to be able to provide that you can afford. In your case, what a man in your situation would provide for a woman in her situation. That's how it should be. It's a gift. It's not a mean of financial burden on the man, because we know some cases what will he do? He will make her life hell until say, okay, I'll give you everything, just let me go free. This is not the purpose of it. So it shouldn't be done. It should be kept to the minimum. The least the mahar, the more barakah in the marriage. It should be according to the social norms, and try to keep it on the lower end of the scale rather than the higher end of the scale. You get more barakah with it. And then for the male, he wouldn't say minimum. If he find, okay, I'll give you 5,000, and later on, a month or two later, he get a bonus. You want to give her a ring another 2,000. He provide for that. Yes, I mean, you would expect a normal, decent human being. Every now and then, he's going to give her gifts. He's not going to be a miser, penny type person. That's how it's expected. But it can happen. We know from the Seerah when Hind bin Utbah came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, Ya Rasulullah, inna Aba Sufyan rajulun shahih. فهل لي أن آخذ من ماله لي ولولدي? He said, Abu Sufyan is penny tight, he's a miser. He was wealthy. He was the leader of Quraysh. But being a leader means you have a lot of financial responsibilities. So sometimes he's kind of penny tight, make sure he has always enough to spend when the times come for it. But sometimes too much. That Hind has certain expectation for her, being the wife of the leader of Quraysh. Her children are not getting enough. Sometimes she steals from his money. So ask, is that permissible? Say you take what is needed for your expenses and your children. So you don't have to have his permission, but enough just to keep it what is expected. Not to be overboard and lavish about it, but at least the basics are required. It's rare, most people are not that bad.
So if like a man and a woman agree on a certain number for mahar, so there's no certain percentage that has to be paid like upfront before. So it's whatever they agree on.
Whatever they agree on. This is what they call مقدم and مؤخر, مقبول and غير مقبول. So people agree to it, but at the end it's a debt. A lot of people think of مؤخر, the delayed part, as only happens after death or divorce. No. It's her right anytime. She can ask for. She can go to the judge. You say, he wrote me $1 million. I want $1 million now. He would confiscate his land or money or whatever and give her that $1 million if it comes to it. So one should be reasonable. Should offer only what you're really willing to afford. This is not and then it becomes unfair to other children, because now there's death, and all of a sudden she has the right من بعد وصية توصين بها أو دين, that the will and the inheritance is split after debts and wills are done. So if all of a sudden he left $1,001 and her mahar there's $1 million, she takes the $1 million, the $1 will be split among his family. It's not fair to do that. So that's why I said the mahar should be kept to the minimum of what is socially accepted in their status.
So I think this session is being recorded.
Yeah.
I want to delete the part about stealing the man's wealth.
What we mean with it, he's responsible for it, and if he makes her, she has to go illegally to get that financial, that's his responsibility. That means he put her in a situation where she has to go illegally. He's responsible for that.
So I do have an actual question. So what is the Shari purpose and objective behind mahar? Because you said it's a gift.
Gift.
Follow the customs, but nowadays there's like sentiment spreading like wildfire, 100K mahar, and this is what I'm learning from this. So from the Shari, what is the purpose and objective? How do you determine?
It's a gift, and if you really want to be accurate about it, find how much Rasulullah paid his wives as a gift, and when the daughters get married, how much it was given. I don't remember the figure itself, if it was 400 or 4,000 dirham. So it wasn't a big wealth amount at that time. So she keep it in there. I know in Dubai, when my daughter got married, they had the customs 50,000 dirham was considered the mahar, which is close to $12,000. And that's the maximum among the citizens of Emirat. Non-Emirati, they can decide whatever they want. But a lot of people think of this is a reasonable amount of money for well-to-do people. Now, if somebody cannot afford it, then it should be take that into account. But if somebody can afford $1 million, you shouldn't write more than 50,000. So just to keep it there. And then with gifts and so on, it's free. You can gift her whatever. You can buy her a car that's worth $500,000. So it's up to him. So so you find the right wife, you do the mahar that's reasonable, you've done it, approach it correctly, where there has to be a wali and 2 shuhud, and there's declaration of it. This is the proper way to conduct an Islamic marriage.
So you were mentioning the urf. It's common nowadays that some cultures they do cut the kitab, and then they still don't. They're not considered married. She still lives at home. They consider it like an engagement.
Yeah, yes, yeah, a little bit deeper level of
Deeper
engagement.
engagement.
Yeah.
So what happens if it doesn't work out? Then, like that.
It's mentioned in the Quran, وَإِن طَلَّقْتُمُوهُنَّ مِن قَبْلِ أَن تَمَسُّوهُنَّ. So this is divorce before they touch her. That means they're alone sleeping together. Then she gets half of the mahar. But he's encouraged to give her the full mahar. وَأَن تَعْفُوا أَقْرَبُ لِلتَّقْوَى. If he forgive the other half, it would be better for him to give her the whole thing. But she earns half of the mahar, and then there is no iddah. طلقتموهن من قبل أن تمسوهن فما لكم عليهن من عدة تعتدونها. So if she's divorced before the actual wedding night happens, she's free. She can get married next day with someone else.
Is it allowed to have other conditions in the marriage contract other than the ones that we mentioned?
Yes, but it should be kept to minimum. A condition that goes against the Sharia should not be included. I know some women put in the condition and he never married another woman on me. And the ulama are split on it. Some say المسلمون على عقودهم. If you agree to that, you are held against it. And the other one go with the hadith كل شرط trying to find the word, but the meaning of that goes against the Sharia is invalid even if there's 1,000 condition. So I would say no, do not write something that goes against what Allah permitted. Now there is a condition a woman would say, if he married another woman, I have the right to divorce him without his approval. That might be accepted, but I still don't encourage that. Nowadays, men having a second wife is very rare. In Muslim countries, let alone in non-Muslim countries. So it should be a reason, and a man should not use it as a weapon against his wife. If you don't behave, I'm going to get another wife for you. It shouldn't be that reason. If you get married because you have a reason to get married, not because you want to make her life miserable. Mawadda al-Rahma is the basics of the relation of the man. وَعَاشِرُهُنَّ بِمَعْرُوفٍ فَإِنْ كَرِهْتُمُوهُنَّ فَعَسَىٰ أَن تَكْرَهُوا شَيْئًا وَيَجْعَلَ اللَّهُ فِيهِ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا. That you live, man and woman should live together with what is considered good terms. If you hate her, still treat her right, you don't know. Sometimes you hate something, there's a lot of good out of it. Now, the woman, she's not only a wife, but she's a mother, and she's the manager of the house, and taking a lot of social responsibilities. So sometimes her relation with her husband might be tense, but she's still good in other manners. She's taking care of the children, raising them well. She's a good manager. She's not wasting his time, his money, and his effort. She had keep good social relations. So sometimes she will accept that she's short in one area but better in another area. لا يفرق مؤمن مؤمنا إن كره منها خلقا رضي منها آخر. A believer man will never hate a believer woman. He might not like a certain character, but he likes other characters from her. So that's where the balance comes. So if the basics are there, so even when the personal relation gets tense, sometimes has to do a lot with the in-laws. His mother say something to her, she doesn't like it. Her mother say something, he doesn't like it, and so on. But overall, there's a lot of common grounds that people will smooth iron these differences and keep going. The marriage, as I said, it's not always perfect, picture perfect, lived happily ever after, but it's about taqwa towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You keep this mawadda al-rahmah between the man and the woman. You like her, you have mercy on her, she likes you, she has mercy on you. You do your responsibility, she does your responsibility, life goes on smoothly. When they do that, they go to Jannah together. The woman, her jihad is keeping her social family life good. That's her jihad. If she's obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, she's praying her prayer, she's fasting, and she's keeping her chastity, she's obeying her husband, she goes to Jannah straight. She's not required to carry a sword, she's not required to put her life in danger, even spend her wealth, and so on. It's responsibility of the husband. وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا try to remember the ayah. الذين آمنوا واتبعتهم ذريتهم بإيمان ألحقنا بهم ذريتهم وما ألتناهم من عملهم من شيء. So those who believe and their family believe with them, when they go to Jannah, they join one another without decreasing the level of anybody who would. That is, the highest status will bring everybody with him. So the husband is better, the wife will join, and the children will join. If the woman is better, he will join her, the children will join. It is knowing that this is a religious obligation will help smooth a lot of these difficulties. It's not about whose way we go, it's about Allah's way. As long as you obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, things will go smoothly. Expect problems because this is life. But then the rules of Islam apply in that relation. If somebody does it, apply the rules of Islam, then these differences will go away. You see it in the Quran, even in Surah Al-Talaq, ولا تخرجوهن من بيوتهن إلا أن يأتين بفاحشة مبينة تلك حدود الله ومن يتعدى حدود الله فقد ظلم نفسه لا تدري لعل الله يحدث بعد ذلك أمرا. So even when they get mad from one another, they decide to divorce her. He divorces, she stays at home for 3 months. ثلاثة قروء. So 3 months she's staying at home. She's wearing her hijab. She has her room. He shouldn't kick her out unless it is obviously bad. She's yelling at him, she's screaming at him, something very offensive. But otherwise, she stays with him. If you don't, you hurt yourself. Because you might at some point reconcile. That's the whole purpose. It's a cool-off period, 3 months. I said, okay, let's see, what are we disagreeing on? How can we fix that? You want more money to spend? This is what I can afford. I'm planning to, I don't know, buy a shop or something. Yes, I'm making $10,000 a month. I'm not willing to spend that $10,000. I'm going to be willing to spend $4,000 or $5,000. I need this amount. I'm building a capital. I want to do this. Do you understand that? Now, after I'm expecting 2, 3, 5 years, I'm going to be saving. Then when this work starts, inshallah, I'm going to have more income. Are you willing to wait for me 4 or 5 years? That's good for you. Okay, that's good. I now understand. You're not doing it being data. Sometimes you see, okay, I asked for 1,000 and give me, now your sister get married, you give her 2,000. Why, you like your sister more than you like him? And then you start telling, oh, you don't understand. When I got married, she has to sell her gold, so she will give me money so I can get married to you. So now my way to pay her back. You don't know the backstory. So they kind of, their life happens. So one should always think about what is more pleasing to Allah and try to smooth these differences. Religion should be always a red line. If she decides not to wear hijab, she decides not to pray. The same thing with the man. If he stops praying, he starts drinking, starts doing that, if he's not going to repent, life should not go on between That's the religion. Dunya, you can smooth it out, you can reconcile, find a compromise. Dunya can always fix the problem. Deen and bad character, if he's somebody who yells, scream, beat, and so on, that's not acceptable. Even when Zainab bin Jahsh, when her husband died with her, and then people start proposing. So Muawiyah Abu Sufyan, he proposed to her, and Abu al-Hakam, he proposed to her. Rasulullah sallallahu he told her, Abu al-Hakam, the stick is always in his shoulder. He beats women. Don't. And then he told her, Muawiyah, so look, he's poor. Yes, his father Abu Sufyan, his father's many times. He's not going to give him anything. So he's going to have a hard time. He knows she came from the tribe of Quraysh. She's used to live a certain status. She's not going to be happy with him. See? But take Zayd ibn Haritha. Zayd ibn Haritha, he was raised by Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam as a good character and so on. So she accepted Zayd ibn Haritha, and Allah gave him so much barakah. She was very happy with that marriage. So, as in matters of dunya, it could be ironed out. Matters of deen is the red line. But as I said, dunya should keep it as close as possible to avoid problems.
So in matters of deen, for example, a man is tariq salah, left salah completely. Then the sister is asking you for advice. What should I do in this matter? Can you advise someone to divorce?
Yeah. So first is nasiha. So you try to make nasiha and advise the person for tawbah. Sometimes they need encouragement. If you right away, just first time with somebody doing some mistake, right away leave them alone, then there'll be a big problem. So nasiha, amr ma'ruf, nahi anil munkar, bring the family, talk to him, and so on. If this is not going to work, yes, you shouldn't be living with somebody who doesn't pray. And the same thing for the man with the woman. You see, sometimes people are compromising. That the women are not properly dressed, they do things that are not Islamically appropriate. It shouldn't be. So if the woman is not going to listen, then why live with her? You better be on your own, living an Islamic life, rather than compromise your Islamic values just to be married.
Sheikh, another question. This is something that has been trending now for some time, mostly because I deal with a lot of shabab. When I say young people, I mean 15, 16. So I see the trend of them trying to get married at that age, right? And then they would speak to their parents about it. Their parents would be, most of the time, they would know, right? And then they would try so much to force their parents. Sometimes the parents, they fold. And then they have this engagement period where now they can go out and they do whatever they want to do and stuff like that. And others, it's created so much friction between them and their parents. And so, how would you?
That's where the hikmah should come in. So the brother was asking about very young people, teenagers, high school age kids, they're trying to get married, and so on. It was common at the time of the Sahaba that people, once they start from teenage, get married, whether it's boys or girls. The girl, once she get puberty, 10, 11, 12 years old, she get married. The boy, 13, 14 years old, they get married. That's how was life then. Nowadays, it is not. The condition man stata'a minkum al-ba'a. So that boy, are you able to afford a house? Are you able to afford to spend on your? No, I want my dad to do it. Come on. Now, why would he push for it? If he's living a good Islamic life, you'll be reasonable. But if he's living in a condition, he's partying, he's around girls, he's fooling with them, and so on, and see his friends, they have girlfriends, and so on, he wants something like this in a halal way, then he's putting himself in that fitna. So, no, he should stay away from that fitna, live, وَلْيَسْتَعْفِفِ الَّذِينَ لَا يَجِدُونَ نِكَاحًا. So he considered himself, I cannot find where I can marry. She had iffa, chastity, which means not only not doing the haram, but anything that leads to that haram. So shouldn't intermingle with girls, try not to socialize with them outside, whatever study or work condition, leave the interaction to be professional, kind and professional. Not that, being professional doesn't mean you're rude to them. You don't. If they say good morning, you don't answer them and say, "Oh, shaitan, stay away from me," and so on. This is the society we live in nowadays. There are women around you, so but you don't go beyond that. Oh, you look so nice, your hair is good, and start complimenting her appearances, her smell, her clothes, and what kind of social life. So that's going beyond the limits what is needed for social interaction. So you keep it to the limit, then you wouldn't need that. At the same time, sit with such a person and help them find a goal. Say, okay, you want to get married, you need to have responsibility. Having responsibility means, what do you plan? You plan to study, you plan to work. And what is your plan? In 3 years, 4 years, you're going to have a degree, you're going to work, or you're going to get experience, you're going to buy a car, you work on it, buy a truck, you're going to do something in your life. That might be a reason for him to get the things in order, rather than, no, you're too young for it, when you grow up, come back and talk to me. No, make a reason, because it shows growth and maturity when somebody starts thinking about marriage at age 15 and 16. Most kids nowadays, they don't think about that. They're thinking about Fortnite and Call of Duty and stuff like this. They're not thinking about getting married. So yeah, so somebody gets to that level, okay, treat him as a man, as a mature man. So okay, I wouldn't mind you getting married. These are the requirements. When do you think you're going to be able to fulfill the requirement? Consider you coming to propose to my daughter. How would I give you my daughter a proposal? What do you have to offer? So make it as a reason to establish a good, mature discussion that realistically, how we can reach to that point. Yeah, somebody from age 16 is getting married. So he might be by age 19 or 20 ready to get married, but he has a plan. So already he had a degree that can make him married. We already started experience that he earns money that he can afford for a family. Nothing wrong with that. I remember when we were in college, we had one of our friends, his father was a barber. So he learned the craft from him, young arm. So every time he's free, he goes and helps his father. While we're still in college, by age 20, he already earned enough for a house. By age 21, he was married. By age 22, he had children. I was just struggling just to finish college, and we're thinking about what we're going to do, and so on. So not always everybody has to be a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer. Having a good craft to start from it might be even better. So have a plan.
I think part of it nowadays, though, is that I'm seeing like a social media trend of like people getting married early. Part of it is not necessarily that mature, that ready for it. They like see on social media, oh, so and so's getting married early, so and so's getting married early. Oh, I want to do that too.
Yes. So that's when you put things in reality, perspective. Okay, these are responsible marriage. Are you ready for it? If you're not ready for it, what will take you to reach that point? So make it as a pure, discuss with them as an adult and say, okay, now if somebody in your situation coming proposing for your sister, would you give him your sister as a wife without everything? You want your sister to struggle. She will come one day, she doesn't find electricity in her house because the bill was not paid. There's no food for days and so on.
How do you, speaking of the economic part of it, like how do you reconcile being, like fulfilling all those needs, like fulfilling needs and things like maybe the woman disagreeing on what a need is in that relationship, but also how do you reconcile like being an earner, being a provider when we live in a society that seems to be making it harder and harder to like actually fulfill those needs?
So this is the part where the common background beliefs help. So the social expectations, and this is what the engagement period is for. What are your expectations from life? This is my reality. I'm driving a taxi now. I'm hoping for 5 years I'll own my own taxi. I'm going to be able to make $4,000 or $5,000 a month. I'm going to spend half of it on rent and so on, another $2,000. I'm going to save for it. I'm hoping within 10 years we'll have our own place. And then after that, this is my life. Is that something you think you can live with. So having expectations up front and not to be over optimistic. Some people, I'm driving now and 20 I'm going to have a car in 10 years, I'm owning a company with 100 cars and I'm going to be selling my company on the stocks. And so, come on.
Because I'm in a similar situation. Yeah. Talking with like the barber, but like I'm an electrician.
Yeah.
And like I make good money,
Yeah.
but obviously it's also because of the type of people I'm meeting. It's like for some reason it doesn't seem like enough for a bunch of people.
Well, that's where you keep looking until you find the girl that's accepting your reality. Yeah, everybody has their own reality, and everybody, there is somebody for them. So as long as you're conducting your life in a good Islamic way, you're earning everything is halal, everybody has somebody in their situation that fits them. Studies have shown in most societies, everybody looking for 25% better than them. For a male, he's looking to step up when somebody from a circle that's 25% better than him. And for the woman, the same way. Most of the time, women get it, men don't. Yes. Because people don't aim too high. So they don't aim somebody 50 or 100% better than them. They don't want somebody less than them because they're trying to step up. The reality of the situation, it's harder for a man to step up, it's easier for women to step up. But it's within that 25%. This is life, this is not deen, this is dunya we're talking about. So you get yourself ready as much as possible, and when times come for it, you're a person of good character, you're going to find a woman of good character that deserves her life. It comes also to the woman's side. A lot of reality on this, women are working. So they bring something to the table. They're not required to, but that's what's happening. So it shouldn't be a reason why a man marrying a woman because she's working. Now I'm going to double the income. I'm going to have one rent, one apartment, and I'm going to have double our income. That shouldn't be the reason for that. But at the same time, the Islamic rules should apply. So she should be working in an industry. There is no temptation. There's nothing inappropriate. If she's, I don't know, blackjack dealer in a casino, I don't think you should be marrying her. She's a bartender, you shouldn't be doing it. She works in a tattoo parlor or something like this. You shouldn't be doing that. But she's a decent person, works in a respectable place where she's not alone with males, the kind of business that she's doing is respectable and so on. That's okay. But at the same time, knowing that family comes first. If it comes, she had children, she's willing to take time enough for her children. If you earn enough, you want to be providing for the family, you expect in a few years, that she's okay with that at some point to be stay-at-home mom or part-time working mom. That's something all can be discussed and ironed out.
Can you give some practical advice on how to figure out their deen and their character? I mean, the example that you mentioned was a Sahaba. They would go, I like this woman, let me go to the father. Right then, the act is done, and, you know, but this day and age is very difficult.
This is when the social networking will come. It's usually either you're looking for the family through your own family. So if you have family in this country, so you test them, the ladies, mother, sisters, and so on. They look, you tell them what kind of girl you're looking for, what you are providing, what you're looking for. They're gonna look for that, and then they start doing the talking, and then come to you, okay, we have a couple families, and then same background, and so on. If you are a person alone looking for it, it's a little bit tough in this society. The good behaved girls, you're not likely to be meeting them. Most of your students around you are not Muslim. Most of your co-workers are not Muslim. When you come into the masjid to pray, you're praying in their own way, you're praying your own way. So the interaction is limited. So that's where you start recruiting people that you know that are married. You say, well, I know you're married, your wife might know somebody. I'm looking for this and this. So the network helps. And then they can vouch for you. They said, yes, I know this lady is a good friend of my husband. We see him in the masjid a lot. We know good things about him. He comes from a respectable family. They all know to be good people and so on. He's looking for this and that. That's how the reality of it is. Sometimes you might find a co-worker or a student with you of good character, and you find this you're interested in her, you might be frank with her. I'm thinking to approach your father or your brother. Do you think this is appropriate? And so on. And then you knock on the door and move on.
Sheikh, what about things like religion? Because sometimes, like, if you just ask them, hey, do you pray 5 times a day? Everyone's gonna say yes. Or like, some people might take it as an offense, as in, oh, you're asking me about like something this basic. For example.
Well, that's when other people can help you. So you really are gonna be checking with other people.
Okay.
So you say, okay, where are you? I'm living in this city. Or which masjid is it? Who's your sheikh? And so on. Then you go and ask the sheikh, what do you think about it? They say, yeah, he always attends here. He's a good person. So, no, the police came to his apartment a couple of times. They confiscated some pot with him. He was in a party and he got in a bar fight. I was like, okay, let's stay away from it. So you need to expand. And it is your responsibility as the guardian of that woman to ask. And it is the responsibility for the one giving the advice to be frank and honest. You cannot lie. They know this person is not a good person, or he has a certain defect. So they mention the good and the bad about him. He said, yes, he's reliable, he earns good money, and so on. He have fooled around when he was young, but lately, what we find from him, he doesn't have any girlfriend. He said, somebody might accept such a person. Some say, no, my daughter doesn't have any experience. I don't want a guy with experience. So you have to expand it. As society has different. Before, you just ask about the family. Oh, so he has a daughter? Okay, go and knock the door, let's propose to that daughter. Reality of life have changed. Even in our own Muslim countries, not necessarily. So usually people from good families are good people, but you have exceptions. And you have some people, their families were not that religious, their children become more committed and religious more than them. So it can happen. So attention, for the sake of Allah, you get your status better, and then you start working on it. You need to have to be ready, Islamically, emotionally, financially for it, and then you engage your social network of that. Some bigger communities, they have a system of engagement and marriage and introductions where they have a database for families and everybody putting their expectations so on. I'm not aware of such a thing in our communities, a little bit smaller. But being smaller, sometimes it's a plus, where almost everybody knows everybody. So if somebody proposing, or most likely, I'm seeing a lot of people going outside because you need to expand your social network. There's limited opportunities in this community. Muslims, alhamdulillah, everywhere. Sometimes you have to go overseas. You have your families involved overseas, find you somebody suitable for you. So there's different options.
Sheikh, so I hear this saying a lot, and it's like marrying someone is completing the second half of your deen.
Yes.
So the first half, how do you know if like the first half is like intact? Like obviously you're praying.
Well, that's your responsibility.
Right.
So Allah has helped you one half. You work in the rest of your life on another half.
Okay.
So it's not done.
It's always a work in progress.
It's always a work in progress. فاتق الله في النصف الآخر. You fear Allah in the other half. He always says, one should never be satisfied with his religious status. The minute you're satisfied, if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. Always try to improve. وَتُوبُوا إِلَى اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا أَيُّهَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ لَعَلَّكُمْ تُفْلِحُونَ. All who believe, you repent to Allah, so you'll be successful. When we all, some are good, some are bad, some halfway, we all repent, we all make mistakes. ثم أورثنا الكتاب الذين اصطفينا من عبادنا فمنهم ظالم لنفسه ومنهم مقتصد ومنهم سابق بالخيرات بإذن الله ذلك هو الفضل الكبير. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said when He gave the book people to inherit it, we believers, there are levels. Some are ظالم لنفسه, they're unfair to themselves, they're doing wrong. Some are مقتصد, doing the bare minimum. Well, some of them سابق بالخيرات, they're competing with more and more good to them. But all of them will be included under the favor of Allah. Accordingly, each have his own levels. Out of the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we can at any point, be at a certain step, we can slip, and then all the way up. So you always aim to improve. So even if you slip down, pull up, never give up. This is what the shaitan. الشيطان يعيدكم الفقر ويأمركم بالفحشاء. Shaitan always telling you you're going to be poor, he wants you to do wrong, to sin. Why get married? Have a girlfriend. Women are expensive. You're going to lose a lot of money. Just fool around. You go out on a weekend in a bar, pick up a woman, have a night with her, and go on, and you save your money, and so on. Life is beyond that. What Allah has provided with the women, but also with the children. They give purpose for life. A lot of times when people are married, they're thinking about the part I'm going to have a wife. It's more than that. I have a family. And that's what makes it really important. When you see your children growing up, when they go to the masjid and praying, when they get married, they have grandchildren, and you see, okay, now I'm leaving behind me ongoing charity. When I'm dead, somebody say, Rabbi ghfir li wa li walidayn. Allah forgive me and my parents. So it's an investment. It's a burden, financial burden. A lot of money you're going to be spending it on bigger houses than you need, on schools, on clothing, and spending on them, and so on. Why, if you live alone, you're going to have the best of cars, best of clothes, and live and so on. But then you will reach a point, you're gone. Nobody will remember you. But having that expanded family, it is a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Al-malu wal-banuna zinatul hayati dunya. Having money and children is the beauty of this life. So as long as you're able to provide for them, you have a family, you count your blessing. So this is the purpose going to be for the marriage. It's not about just I'm going to have a wife, it's about I'm going to have a family. And there I'm striving to make them good, believing people, adding more good people to this earth. And that's why it's important you find a good woman. It's not, you're not looking for somebody just to share bed with. You want to find somebody that's going to share your values, support you in this life, and she's going to be doing 90% of raising of your children. The man presence is important, guidance is important, but she's going to do 90% of the work. The guidance that a man has, a lot of times people underplay it. They say, oh, the woman doesn't know the raising. They look at families. Anytime a family that doesn't have a male figure in it, the children will be more likely, I would say, or more likely to be sociopaths, criminals, delinquent, attention deficit, failures in life, and so on. So having a male character establish norms, establish right and wrong, establish expectations, and so on. Why the woman is nourishing and providing, and so on, for the little details. But the big picture is usually coming from the male figure. So you need to be ready for that when you're responsible and you're choosing somebody with that same caliber. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that make us all worthy of being called ibadullah, ibadur rahman. Ask Him to show us and guide us and to provide those who are seeking marriage with good, believing Muslim women that will be support for them in the here life and the hereafter. Question?
I was just going to say, just to respect your time, Shaykh, we're actually going to ask you to conclude, inshallah.
Jazakallah khairan.
Another question, we can go for hours. Bring you back for round two, inshallah.
That was the gist of it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provides you make the dua. I just end it with a joke. I have one brother that he was Indonesian. He said, ask Allah to give me jawza. He said, no brother, it's not jawza. Jawza is a nut. You need zawja. A wife, not a nut. So ask Allah to give us all his wife salih. Subhanallah.
Shaykh Abu Zakriyya. All right, so we'll go ahead and conclude here. A couple of announcements, notes. Number one, for the sadaqah that we pay each month, I'm asking very respectfully, if you don't have Cash App, if you're, whatever bank you have usually has Zelle, preferring to Cash App or Zelle Anwar. just because that allows us to have a paper trail of everybody's contributions, and obviously we track expenditures as well. So that's note number one. Number two, it seems like everybody has voted for the new name, Muhsinin. So alhamdulillah, that's going to be the new name. Not that it matters, we operated with the old name for a year. Alhamdulillah, we grew. That's going to be a new name. We'll, develop like a new logo, so on and so forth. And then, there is one more thing. And I'm drawing a blank.
The new goals for the new brothers.
Yes, thank you. All right. Third announcement, particularly for the new brothers. So, Omar, you sent me your goals, which is good, so I'm going to get you paired up with somebody. The new brothers, if you can sit with me after, let me know what your goal is. Within a week, I'll have you paired up with somebody or joining like an existing work group. Grayler, it's up to you if you have a new goal, since you already grouped up with like the Arabic work group. It's up to you. Okay. But everybody else that's new member, just sit with me just 1-2 minutes so I can get your goals. Inshallah. Jazakallah khairan. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. جزاك الله